12 Days to the Fourth Dimension by Scott P. With a little help from my friends. Day 4. Chapter 4, Day 4. Set aside prayer. Dear God, please help me to set aside everything I think I know about myself, your other kids, and you, so I may have an open mind and a new experience. Please help me see the truth about myself, your other kids, and you. Step 4 spiritual principle. Courage. To take action in spite of fear. Promise number 4. We will know peace. Daily fourth dimension preparation checklist. At the end of the day, check off what you did. 1. Do not drink. 2. Pray and meditate. 3. Talk to your sponsor. 4. Go to a meeting. 5. Do service work. 6. Read some of the big book. Day 4 story. He was driving home one evening on a 2-lane country road. Work in this small Midwestern community was almost as slow as his beat-up Pontiac, but he never quit looking. Ever since the factory closed, he'd been unemployed, and with winter raging on, the chill had finally hit home. It was a lonely road. Not very many people had a reason to be on it unless they were leaving. Most of his friends had already left. They had families to feed and dreams to fulfill, but he stayed on. After all, this was where he buried his mother and father. He was born here. He knew the country. He could go down this road blind and tell you what was on either side. And with his headlights not working, that came in handy. It was starting to get dark, and the light snow flurries were coming down. He'd better get a move on. You know, he almost did not see the old lady, stranded on the side of the road. But even in the dim light of day, he could see she needed help. So he pulled up in front of her Mercedes and got out. His Pontiac was still sputtering when he approached her. Even with the smile on his face, she was worried. No one had stopped to help her for the last hour or so. Was he going to hurt her? He didn't look safe. He looked poor and hungry. He could see that she was frightened, standing out there in the cold. He knew how she felt. It was that chill that only fear can put in you. He said, "I'm here to help you, ma'am. Why don't you wait in the car where it's warm? By the way, my name is Joe." Well, all she had was a flat tire. But for an old lady, that was bad enough. Joe crawled under the car looking for a place to put the jack, skinning his knuckles a time or two. Soon he was able to change the tire, but he had to get dirty and his hands hurt. As he was tightening up the lug nuts, she rolled down her window and began to talk to him. She told him she was from St. Louis and was only passing through. She could not thank him enough for coming to her aid. Joe just smiled as he closed her trunk. She asked him how much she owed him. Any amount would have been all right with her. She had already imagined all the awful things that could have happened had he not stopped. Joe never thought twice about the money. This was not a job to him. This was helping someone in need. And God knows there were plenty who had given him a hand in the past. He had lived his whole life that way, and it never occurred to him to act any other way. He told her that if she really wanted to pay him back, the next time she saw someone who needed help, she could give that person the assistance they needed. And Joe added, "And think of me." He waited until she started her car and drove off. It had been a cold and depressing day, but he felt good as he headed for home, disappearing into the twilight. A few miles down the road, the lady saw a small cafe. She went in to grab a bite to eat and to take the chill off before she made the last leg of her trip home. It was a dingy-looking restaurant. Outside there were 2 old gas pumps. The whole scene was unfamiliar to her. The cash register was like the telephone of an out-of-work actor. It did not ring much. Her waitress came over and brought a clean towel to wipe her wet hair. She had a sweet smile, one that even being on her feet for the whole day could not erase. The lady noticed the waitress was nearly 8 months pregnant, but she never let the strain and aches change her attitude. The old lady wondered how someone like her, who had so little, could be so giving to a stranger. Then she remembered Joe. After the lady finished her meal and the waitress went out to get her change from a $100 bill, the lady stepped right out the door. She was gone by the time the waitress came back. She wondered where the lady could be. Then she noticed something written on a napkin. There were tears in her eyes when she read what the lady wrote. It said, "You don't owe me a thing. I have been there too. Someone once helped me out, the way I'm helping you. If you really want to pay me back, here's what you do. Do not let the chain of love end with you." Well, there were tables to clear, sugar bowls to fill, and people to serve, but the waitress made it through another day. That night, when she got home from work and climbed into bed, she was thinking about the money and what the lady had written. How could she have known how much she and her husband needed it? With the baby due next month, it was going to be hard. She knew how worried her husband was as he lay sleeping next to her. She gave him a soft kiss and whispered low, "Everything's going to be all right. I love you, Joe." Last but not least, the way to end the day. Gratitude is the energy we must generate all throughout our being. Keep it simple. To help you acquire this gratitude before resting peacefully, answer these 3 simple questions. 3 questions. The way to end your day. Today, did I live? Today, did I love? Today, did I matter? Today, treat every person you spend time with like it is the last time you will ever see them. Now get some rest. Day 5, getting ready to come at you.